Hey, this is Stu Schaefer, and I'm going to explain how to get rid of menopause belly fat, why we get it in the first place, and 4 simple steps that you can do to get rid of it and get flat abs. Let's dive right in. So menopause, tell me if this has ever happened to you. You're doing everything the same as you've always done, nothing's changed, and all of a sudden you start getting this belly fat or you start gaining weight, or maybe you try to do some of the diets that you've done before that used to work great and now they don't work anymore. Or maybe all of a sudden now you're tired, something's changed and you think, oh gosh, it must be my hormones. Is this menopause, just weight gain? I get cellulite, I got flabby skin, I got fat everywhere. What's going on? It doesn't have to be that way. I'm going to walk you through why you're going to be storing the belly fat, especially how to get rid of it. So let's dive right in. The main switch when you hit menopause is that your ovaries, they're shutting down. Now, up until that point, your ovaries have been producing your hormones, your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, pregnenolone, things like that. When your ovaries stop, your adrenal glands take over. Women are designed so that your adrenal glands can keep producing these hormones and level you out. Now, the problem is most women are so stressed, whether they're eating incorrectly, exercising incorrectly, something's off with their health, or they're mentally and emotionally stressed. You know, they've got a family and responsibilities and work and whatnot. And so their adrenal glands are so busy producing all your stress hormones that they can't get to the other sex hormones too. This is why some women will hit menopause and just plummet. Boom. It's like this. One day you wake up and everything's just wrong, okay? Because your adrenals, they're toast already. Some women can go through menopause with virtually no symptoms and their hormones don't drop that much because they're balancing their body and they're creating the right environment for their body to thrive and heal itself and balance itself. And if you do this, you can get through menopause, whether you're in perimenopause, menopause, even postmenopause, without a crazy hormone drop. Now, all of us, as we get older, men and women, our hormones are going to go down a little bit, but you can really determine if they crash or if they stay pretty darn stable without having to do hormone replacement therapy. Now, generally, the hormone changes are not the cause of the weight gain. The hormone changes are a symptom of what I just talked about. And oftentimes it's caused, you have the root cause, which you can change. That's the good news. And we're going to go through how to do it. Now, let me just give you some examples of women who had gained the belly fat in menopause and were able to get rid of it within a couple of months. You have Emily, you can see her from before and after. I mean, just a month or two was able to completely get rid of her belly fat. You can see Summer, same thing, right? You can see she's storing it right around the midsection and was able to flatten out that tummy. Same with Stephanie. Ironically, 2 of these people were doctors, but you could see Stephanie was a doctor and you could see she was able to flatten out her tummy. Now, a lot of these women had switched to trying to do a low-carb, high-fat ketogenic approach, and it really only made their belly fat worse. We talked about that on the last lesson. So you're going to want to check that out if you missed it, how carbs work and who needs carbs and that sort. So let's go into the 4 steps that you can take right now to get flat abs, okay? And it's not what you think, okay? Because the big myth out there, as my voice cracks, get a little excited about this, the big myth out there is you got to do all these different ab exercises and that's what's going to flatten the abs. None of the women that you just saw did any sort of fancy ab exercise. They didn't even do very many ab exercises. That's the myth. Yes, ab exercises can maybe help firm your ab region. Let's say you've had some kids and the muscles have been a little bit stretched. Yes, that's where ab exercises can help. We'll talk about that in just a sec. But let's focus on the real root causes that'll really help your body just melt that extra fat so you get the flat abs. Number 1 is you've got to de-stress. I can't stress this enough, okay? You've got to de-stress. How do you do that? There's 3 pieces. 1, you've got to get the right mindset. You've got to handle your emotional, mental stress. You've got to be able to handle stressful situations. You've got to create a new vibe, a positive vibration where you're in that all the time, and that way you're putting your body in the parasympathetic state instead of the sympathetic state. This is going to help with digestion, fat burning, cortisol, hormones, energy, sleep, everything, hair, skin, nails, anti-aging. Stress is one of the worst possible things for the body. So you've got to start there. Now, I will probably be doing a future lesson about mindset because people have been asking me, but that is critical. So you got to get the mindset going. Number 2, you've got to get hydrated. This is something that is so easy, but so many people are dehydrated, and that dehydration will absolutely cause your body to be under more stress. You want to shoot for a minimum of 80 ounces a day, but if you're active, most people need somewhere around 100 to 120 ounces a day. There's a lot of myths floating around right now. Oh, don't drink too much water. It's bad for you. Don't listen to that. 20 years I've been doing this. 100, 120 ounces, flushing your system, hydrating it, the body, that reduces the stress, and the body works so much better. So that's something that absolutely you can start doing right now. Get hydrated, stay hydrated through the day. And last is sleep. You've got to get good sleep. You've got to get enough sleep. I know sometimes you can't, okay? And I understand that, but any chance you get, start developing better sleeping habits. Maybe you can go to bed 30 minutes earlier. Maybe you can get into a ritual before bed. Maybe you're doing some essential oils or a Epsom salt bath or aromatherapy or some sort of a journaling or meditation or music or something where you get into this groove, you get into this routine, and then psychologically what you're doing is you're creating a trigger. So if you go through that same routine every night, it tells your mind that it's time to go to sleep. And over time what will happen is it'll help you fall asleep much easier. As we correct some of these other things we're going to talk about, you'll stay asleep all night. You'll get much better sleep. That'll help de-stress the body. That's the number one thing you've got to do. You've got to de-stress, especially in menopause, because you don't have that leeway anymore simply because of how your hormones are getting produced now. So that's number 1. Let's look at the second thing you can do. Duh, it's food, okay? I can't tell you how many hate comments I get. Why don't you tell us the specific foods to eat? Tell us because it's different for everyone. I can't stress that enough. I might say, hey, a great combination is you should have a Greek yogurt and some strawberries. Well, maybe someone's allergic to dairy and it causes inflammation. It's impossible to just give a blanketing, oh, have this food and this food. And it's not going to work for everyone. Someone might do it and say, oh man, that was great. And another person says, Stu's so full of crap, I did what he said and I gained a bunch of weight. This is the problem. But let me explain what the heck we're doing with food, okay? So number 1, you've got to eat enough. Okay, most women are under eating. How many calories, and I don't count calories, I don't recommend you count calories, but how many calories should a healthy woman who's reasonably active, age 55 to 60, how many calories should you be getting to lose weight? If you're doing it right, you should be able to get somewhere between 1,800, 2,000 calories. That might seem like a lot, but this is the difference. When you're doing it wrong, when you're not eating correctly, your body is storing what you're eating as fat. So this is why so many people have to restrict calories. When you do it right and you create the right chemical reactions with food, none of the food makes it to your fat cells. It gets used by the body properly. It goes to your muscles, your liver, your brain, your organs, your cells. And so you can eat a lot more without having to cut calories and wreck your body or your metabolism. And I did a whole lesson on why you shouldn't cut calories and how it affects the body and how it damages your thyroid and your metabolism. Check that out. But you don't need to do that if you're doing it right. You always want to do it without cutting calories because that will keep your body and metabolism strong. But you've got to create the right chemical reactions. Let's look at some of the hormones and enzymes that we're dealing with here. There's 8 that we're dealing with. Number 1 is insulin, okay? Now, all of these hormones are good, by the way. You don't have a bad hormone in your body as long as they're in the sweet spot. Okay, so it's not that more is better or less is better. It's that the right amount, just like anything. If you go to the doctor, they have ranges. If you're too low, that's bad. If you're too high, that's bad. You want to be right in the range, in the sweet spot. And that's the same with this. So number one is insulin. And that again, if it's in the right zone, it'll actually help you build muscle and burn fat and give you lots of energy. If it's in the wrong zone, it'll cause you to store fat. Number two is something called glucagon. This is insulin's sister or brother. It's yin and yang, okay? Glucagon oftentimes will determine if you're going to be releasing certain fat burning enzymes or not. You have something called leptin. This is a hormone that makes you feel hungry, and it's a hormone that tells your body that you have enough body fat, and so it tells the body to burn more fat and to speed up your metabolism. Well, guess what? If you don't eat enough carbs, your leptin levels will drop too low, and this is a problem with people who've gone low carb for too long. Their leptin levels go a little too low, and now their body doesn't burn fat as effectively as it should. Carbs will help balance that out. Okay, we have another hormone. This is leptin's sister hormone. It's called adiponectin. And again, this will signal to the brain how much fat you have on your body, and if you have enough fat, more fat, then your body will start to burn fat. This is a basic balancing system that your body has. Remember, your body should balance and heal itself. You've got to put it in the right environment, though. Let's look at number 5, something called HSL. This is a fat-burning enzyme. Now, the trick is you can eat certain foods in certain combinations at certain times, and that'll help kick up the HSL, which will cause your body to burn fat instead of storing fat. Now, the opposite would be something called LPL. LPL does the opposite. It causes you to store fat really easily and prevents the food that you're eating from going to other parts of the body. So if your LPL levels are too high, what will happen is you'll eat something and it'll go straight to the fat cells, and the other parts of your body, they won't get the food that normally it would go to first. Aha! Okay, you can control all this with food. All right, we've got cortisol here. Obviously, we've been talking about that. Certain foods, certain vitamins and minerals can help reduce cortisol. Enough food is necessary for your body to balance it. But remember now, cortisol is actually necessary to burn fat. It's part of the fat burning process. Again, when it's in the sweet spot, it's great. But if it goes too high, that's what throws you off, especially when you're in menopause. So everything's all about balance now. And lastly is your thyroid. Okay, well look, so everyone talks about protein, right? Got to get more protein. But what they don't tell you is there's 6 different types of protein. You have complete protein, you have incomplete protein, you have high quality, you have low quality, you have high phosphate and low phosphate. If you're eating really high phosphate proteins and you're not getting enough calcium, which a lot of women don't, by the way, because a lot of people can't have dairy. So what happens is the phosphate gets so high in the body relative to the calcium, it actually can hurt your thyroid function. Same with if you undereat, that can hurt your thyroid. So calorie reduction can hurt your thyroid. If you don't eat carbs, that can lower your thyroid hormones. This is why you really have to find the right balance for you. Okay, and I'm sure I'm going to get comments, oh, you're not telling us what to do. I can't, I don't know. This has to do with your weight, your age, your gender, your activity level, if you have any autoimmune, if you have any food sensitivities, any thyroid issues to begin with, what you've been eating. You know, if you're only eating 1 meal a day and you're eating like 800 calories a day or something, it's not right. And you're not eating carbs. It's not right to go up to 2,000 calories a day and hundreds of grams of carbohydrates. You have to ease into it, and you have to get your body to recalibrate. This is why it's a little bit more complex than just calories in, calories out, or macros. You got to view food like medicine. When you use it correctly, look at all these different effects it'll have on your body, especially when you're in menopause and balancing your hormones. When you get these hormones balanced and you ease off your adrenal glands, now your other hormones will start to balance naturally. Your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, pregnenolone, because the adrenal glands can start producing them again. So food is vital. Food is vital. And stay tuned because we're going to do so many lessons on food. It's just there's so much. I could talk for 5 hours on this, okay? All right, number 3. Let's look at number 3. Step number 3 is exercise. You've got to do the right type of exercise. You've got to do the right amount. and you've got to do the right intensity. Again, it's all in the sweet spot. If you're doing the wrong kind of exercise, let's say you're just doing cardio, no weight training, no resistance training, you're not going to get this flat tummy, these results that you're wanting, because the cardio doesn't do that, all right? If you're just doing, say, Pilates, and that's it, you're going to be incomplete. And I did a whole lesson on different types of exercise. I've rated them and how to blend them. You're going to want to check that out too. If you do too much exercise, that's just as bad as not doing enough. If your exercise is too intense, that's just as bad as if it wasn't intense enough. Okay, everything has to balance. Now, we're going to talk about what if you wanted to firm up your stomach muscles so they did get a little bit more tight and tense and flat. What would you do? Look, you don't have to go any further than the basics. Planks are great. And there's about 100 variations of the plank. You can do it on your elbows. You can do it on your hands. You can do it on your side. You can move your feet and arms, come up and down. Planks are great. They're very, very good. Basic crunches, also very good. Cross crunches, where you're moving side to side. Now I'm talking about crunches and not full sit-ups. A lot of times when people do full sit-ups, they use their hip flexors and their lower back, which is why the crunch became so popular. It isolates your abs a little bit more. You can do things like bicycle crunches. These are all just the basics, and you don't need to do them every day. 2 to 3 times a week is all you need. And all that you're doing is just tightening the muscles in your midsection a little bit. That's all you need to do. The rest of it's going to come from getting your body to start shedding the fat, burning that off. And these are actually the root causes, the root ways to do that, that they aren't as sexy as this, do this ab exercise and do this routine. Yeah, you can still do some abs, and my clients do. Maybe 1 or 2 exercises twice a week. That's it. It takes them like 5 minutes. And they're the basics. You don't need to go much further than that. But really, you want to do the right type of exercise, the right amount for you, and the right intensity. Now, that might shift as you nourish your body and you get it balanced back out. You might have a higher threshold. You might be able to do higher intense exercise, or a little bit more or a little bit less. Okay, because your metabolism speeds up, so you don't have to do as much exercise. This is more of a dynamic piece that would change with your body. Let's look at the last step. Okay, the last step is you've got to fix your gut and inflammation. If you have inflammation in the body, not only is that going to cause extra stress, it's also going to cause your insulin to run high, which will prevent you from burning fat. Now, most people have some inflammation or some level of a gut issue, because it comes from 3 places. You've got parasites, you've got toxins, you've got food sensitivities that you're unaware of. You're eating foods that may be causing inflammation as well. And so those are the things you want to address. You want to do a parasite cleanse a couple times a year. Okay, I'll link to all my resources, the different parasite cleanses I do, different supplements I take. I'll put a link down below. But you want to do a parasite cleanse once or twice a year, because we're all exposed to parasites. Okay, if you're alive, if you're breathing, you're going to get parasites. So you want to take care of those. Now, there's a couple things I use here. Probiotics are great. A certain silver is great too for getting rid of bacteria overgrowth in the body, helping reduce the toxins in your body. And you've got to do that. You absolutely need to get rid of any gut issues or inflammation, because that way when you eat, your body's going to absorb the nutrients correctly. And toxins are all around us. They could be your beauty products, your environment, molds, etc. We're going to get exposed to toxins. Our body is designed to fight that. I've done other lessons, and you should check those out too, about certain foods that typically cause inflammation in women, especially women in menopause. So check those out. These are the 4 steps, and we're going to splash a couple lessons up right now that you're going to want to watch. We're going to go into some specifics about the exercise type, best exercises for flat tummy. We're also going to go into how to use some of these hormones to flatten your tummy as well through nutrition. So check those lessons out. I hope this was helpful. It was a little bit longer lesson, but I hope it was worth it, and we'll talk soon. All right, see you on the next lesson.